Yeah, welcome to another edition of the Coach and the Scribe. Jess Quinn, Chris Rossetti. We are the Coach and the Scribe, and we're brought to you by the Rehab Centers in Clarion, Brookville, Katanning. That's 3 of their 6 locations. One number can get you into any of their locations, 724-478-1501. So big thanks to the Rehab Center, Chiropractors for Health. So as always, we shout out to them. We'll start here tonight, right here at Clarion, with a couple of big wins by the Bobcat teams. The girls pull out the 2-point victory over Keystone. That's a big win for the Keystone, for the Clarion girls. Yeah. It's a game that now makes Keystone losing that game. They were going to have to beat Red Bank Valley one way or the other. Right. They had a little bit of a cushion because they had that one win. So even if they now are game back of Red Bank, they still would win the tiebreaker. Right. But this was their cushion game, and they lost this game. So now the rest of the way, they really can't afford to lose. Even if they beat Red Bank Valley on February 4th, sure, they're still in. They can't lose another game in order to win that KSAC South. So sure, that's a big loss for Keystone.
I think it is. You come in to an event like tonight, everybody was really, really revved up from, the boys JV game that went right down to the wire. The girls came out, like I said earlier, in the halftime show, it was kind of like a heavyweight fight at first. They were trying to feel each other out. But Jordan Best, I think, really came out and set the tone in the second half, rebounding the basketball. I thought that Keystone had a little bit of an advantage in that area, but Jordan would not be denied. She got the ball out, KK hit some shots, Caitlin Constantino hit some shots, but I thought Jordan was the key to that victory.
Yeah, and then in the boys' game, it might have been hot in the gym, but it was freezing cold for Keystone shooting the basketball. They end up losing by double digits, right, don't even reach 30 points. This is a team that we saw down in Carn City back in November. Just like they scored 30 points, I think in a quarter.
Right.
What did you see tonight? What was Clarion doing defensively? What wasn't Keystone able to accomplish offensively? Or was it just really a simple matter of not being able to shoot the basketball? They had a long win streak come down. I think they had won 14 in a row.
Yeah, they ended up, kind of like what we saw out at CL. They weren't shooting particularly well. They kept with it. And eventually it came around throughout the third quarter, into the fourth quarter. Tonight, that just didn't happen. The other thing with them, and we talked about this, very, very uncharacteristically, they had a good number of turnovers, probably somewhere around that 20, in that 20 range. And that is very, very uncharacteristic for them. I think, though, and I mean this, mark my words, Chris, I think this is a great loss, if you can ever look at it that way, where Keystone uses this, where Coach Heath turns this and says, boys, we have to go back to work. Kind of refocuses them.
This is a big loss in terms of AA seeding. We're getting to that point where we're going to start talking about seeding. Coudersport came in, they had 2 losses. Now Keystone has 2 losses, and now it's going to be a real race to the finish, sure, to see who gets to be the 1 seed. And being that 1 seed might be very, very important because you don't want to be on the same side of the bracket as Ridgeway.
Correct.
Yes, they've lost a few games this year, but they won again tonight. They're starting to find their sea legs. If you want to get to a district championship game, you really don't want to be on the same side of the bracket for them. So in that regard, this is a bad loss for Keystone. Right. In addition, it now makes Keystone's game against Carn City on Tuesday night, which we'll have on exploreclarion.com, d9sports.com, really important because now that you've got 2 teams with 1 loss. Right. Carn City had trouble at Red Bank tonight, against Red Bank tonight, winning 67-60. Chase Bailey 30 more points. They're still without Nathan Waltman though, right, again, as he's back out injured, and that makes that just a huge game on Tuesday night.
It really does. But like I said just a minute ago, I really think Coach Heath, obviously coaching against him the last 4 years, but watching him in the gym over the last 30 plus, he's going to take this tonight and he's going to use it to his advantage. He's going to bring them in and he's going to say, guys, we need to kind of go back. We don't turn the ball over. How many times did they get a solid rebound or a steal on defense and turn it right back over? Uncharacteristic. But you're right. You don't want to be, from what I saw tonight here in Clarion Area's gym, You don't want to be, Keystone does not want to be on the same side as Ridgeway, because Ridgeway, if Clarion can hold them to 29 points, and Ridgeway is known for defense, that, could spell the exit out of the D9 playoffs.
We have another big game next week, Jess, that you and I are going to be on. Elk County Catholic, Du Bois. That's going to be for first place in the D9 league. Another win tonight for the Beavers down at Punxsutawney. Chase Usted, Lyndon Lindholm, and then you've got Elk with their myriad of players, Regis Wortman, the whole 9 yards. Really can't wait for that game. Really excited to be able to bring that game to you on D9 Sports this week. It's a different brand of basketball than what we watch most of the time here over in the KSAC, but I'm really looking forward to that game.
I'm really excited because you take two, incredibly good coaches, Dave Bennett and, of course, Aaron Straub, and you look at it. I'm kind of interested how Aaron Straub is going to defend Chase Houston in the paint. I mean, he can play ball. He is, from what I hear, talking to different people, watching him play, a legitimate Division II player. So I'm very interested in how they're going to defend that. And then turn around on the opposite side. How do you slow down that just incredibly quality offensive juggernaut that is the Elk County Catholic team?
Yeah, they're undefeated right now going in. I don't remember if they had a game tonight or not off the top of my head, but they were undefeated going into tonight. So I think their game might be tomorrow, actually. But they do that sometimes up there in Elk, where they get those Saturday games. And I apologize, folks, for not being able to remember. There's so many games going on all the time that can't always remember. North Clarion girls this week, 2 big wins, Red Bank Valley and then Kane last night. And then they beat Forest Area tonight, like 80-20 or something. But they look closer and closer to being a team that's going to finish 22-0 in the regular season.
When we've had them a few times this year, and they seem to get better with every time we see them. And right now, obviously, we talk about you've got to get set up for that playoff push, that playoff run. So, them getting a couple quality wins, against Red Bank Valley and against Kane, really, they need to push that, really work on their full court press, because they're going to need it come playoff time. I understand that you might be playing, some teams that aren't at the caliber you are, and I understand that you don't want to ever show anybody up, but they literally have an incredible shot at doing something this year, getting into the PIAA playoffs outside the district. So they need to focus right now on that as being their goal, not just District 9. No, I'm not saying look past it. I'm not. But look through the District 9, win it, and then move on. They really need to kind of get hungry again.
Yeah, no question. And then the last thing here, and I'll take this one, a couple of teams, girls teams in the D9 league, Punxsutawney has just, they've shook off the injury to Abby Gigliotti and have done it with really, Cassidy has really come on strong for them in the rebounding department and some other things, and it's really been big for them. But I want to shout out to Du Bois too. Du Bois was within 4 of them. This is a Du Bois team that back around Christmas was a young team that was struggling. They went out and they beat Brookville this week. Kind of an upset, but maybe kind of not, because Brookville's now lost like 5 or 6 years in a row at Du Bois. So a tough gym for them to play in. But still, what Coach Kreiner's doing at Du Bois right now with that girls program, with young players, I think they're 10-6 going into tonight's stuff. And, that's what they're doing is really good. And then what Punxsutawney's been able to do, being able to find a way to get through an injury. Now, they're probably still the best team, Punxsutawney, in 4A.
Right.
The injury I'm hearing might be the difference between them maybe being able to win a state playoff game or not. But you know what? Again, a lot of experience doing that. A lot of their players have experience winning a state title in softball, so you never want to push anything like that aside. Hey, shout out to our man Bob, the Governor Dunkel again. We know his arms get tired sometimes holding the camera up so long.
We can get long-winded, Chris.
We can get long-winded a little bit, but the Governor doing a great job. And again, Coach and the Scribe brought to you by the Rehab Center in Clarion, Brookville, Katanning. That number again, Jess?
724-478-1501.
Check them out online at therehabcenters.com, and that's centers with an R-E at the end, not an E-R. So until next time, Chris Rossetti saying good night for Jess Quinn.